Next up, we're talking about kids and gaming, and trust me, as a parent, that is a tough one to navigate.
It is a very tough one, but don't worry, have no fear, because our parenting expert, Nikki Bush, is here, and she's going to help parents navigate through the challenge of telling your children when it is okay to play games and not. It's about children and technology.
So, parents can sometimes feel completely paralyzed when it comes to making decisions about the accessibility of television programming and gaming for their children, often feeling like they're out of their depths and forgetting that they have something called that parental instinct that they forget to use. But with the increasing accessibility of gaming on mobile devices and the lack of control of content, how can parents draw a line and set boundaries? Well, this morning we're joined in studio by our creative parenting expert, Nikki Bush, to answer this very, very important question. And I can see how parents these days are just, kids have phones now, but they don't know how to say, little Tommy, come here. No, you can't play this, you can't watch this. So how do they start to do that, to draw the boundaries between what their kids are watching on TV and what they're consuming in terms of content online?
Very important, Kat, that parents do play the gatekeeper, because that's part of our role as parents, is having a look at what the content coming in is like and what the impact is on our children. I was giving a talk at a function the other day, and afterwards having drinks, the dad standing next to me, who'd actually booked me for the talk, was having a look at his phone and it was going ping, ping, and he could see exactly what his son was downloading onto his phone, the games he was downloading. Because if you make sure that your kids are accessing the Play Store or whatever, when they download, if it's through your account, you can see exactly what they're downloading. And I had a conversation with him and he said, when I get home later, I'll be asking him to show me X, Y, Z, because I know he's downloaded it, and we'll have a conversation around whether it's appropriate or not.
Yeah, so take us through that. Let's form some kind of rubric or checklist that parents can go through to gauge whether the content their kids are consuming online is good for their well-being.
So sometimes you need to take a step back and wait for your child to have played with whatever it is, because it might have the right age limit on it for your children, but the content itself might not be great for your child. Just in the same way as if your child brought home a friend from school who made him throw temper tantrums, made him use foul language, put him in a bad mood, was a bad role model, you would call that child bad company.
Yeah, that's another parent's prerogative, I guess. Yeah.
You would call that child bad company, and you would do whatever it takes to make sure your child did not have another play date with that child. In the same way, with programming content, whether it's TV or gaming, you need to look at your child's behaviour and how that person, if you put a personal face on the game or the program, how is this person making my child behave? What language does this person make my child use? What emotional state does this person leave my child in? So if you personalise this inanimate thing called a game or a TV program, you can very quickly come to a conclusion as to whether you think that that game or TV program actually is good for your child or not.
Yeah, now all of a sudden Duke Nukem 3D in 1996 isn't seeming so good for me anymore. Wish we had you back then. But let's talk about that, social interaction is also very, very important. We need to strike a balance. Parents need to strike a balance between the social interaction that their children have, but also the on-screen time that they have, because we also have said that it's important to prepare your child for the future, because we do live in a technological world, right?
Completely. So we can't shield our children from the reality of living in a digital world. But behind every screen is a human being. And that's the mantra we need to use with our children, is that human beings are still more important than screens. But having said that, our children are born with a mouse or a phone in one hand and a parent's wallet in the other, and they've never known a world without technology. Which is why we as parents need to teach them how important it is to have real human relationships and real interactions. And that starts first with role modelling, being emotionally and physically present with your children. It's very easy today for us to hang off the end of a phone when we're with our children, for us to be behind a screen when we should be interacting with our children. It starts first with us. If we value face-to-face human connection, the chances are that our children will too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for those insights. We'll continue our chat with Nikki a little bit later on. Of course, keep interacting with us on social media, Facebook and Twitter, but only one tweet, not too much. And of course, always remember to use our hashtag Expresso Show. We'll continue our chat later.